Welcome to the Hella Meditated podcast with Joe Clements. Let's go. How y'all doing? How y'all being? That's the question. Are you like a bee? Yeah, just being? Yeah, please. Flying like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. Nice to see you. Yeah. Yes. Cool. All right, y'all. Welcome to the Thursday night Santa Cruz Meditation Group. My name's Joe. Glad you're here. And before we get started, I like to start with an arriving meditation. If this is your first time, we'll do a little arriving meditation, and then a little bit of a topic I'll get into, and we'll do a little bit longer of a meditation, usually like 25 minutes, guided. And then there's time before the meditation. There's time to stretch and move, use the restroom. If you ever need to use the restroom at any time, it's down the end of the hall and to the right. And then there's always time for questions and reflection. So I know I'm up here. This is like the archetype, right? I'm here, you're there, but there's no barricades here. You know, this is our group. It's not just my group, so hearing your experience is super helpful, not only for yourself to express it sometimes, but for others to hear, for me to hear. It helps. I think it helps the group. I know it helps the group. So please share your experience, at least share your hallucination. Yeah. Whatever comes up in your, wherever you go in your wild ass mind. All right. So just taking a moment to settle into your seat. You've arrived, feeling the feet, temperature on the skin, hearing the sounds, looking around. Check out your surroundings. Look at the room above you, behind you. If you accidentally make contact with your neighbor, the eyes, you don't have to play look away. You can say hi. And finding a place to rest your eyes if you want to leave your eyes open, or gently close your eyes. And we're just noticing. Here we are. Noticing what's present. Where's the mind kind of stuck or in loop? Is it a thought? Is it a feeling that we're bringing in from the day, from the week? There's nothing you need to get rid of right now. You can acknowledge, of course, this feeling, this thought, the busyness of the mind itself. It's here. Validate it. But it's not all that's here. We allow it to be here and shift our awareness to our senses. So just checking into the body being here, the feet on the floor, sit bones pressed into the seat, cushion, the spine, these points of contact, connection, the way the air, the room is contacting your skin right now, clothes resting on the skin. You notice that this breath, this dear friend, the breath, is just doing its thing, just breathing, all on its own. Notice it entering and exiting the body, the nose, top of the lip, or the belly. You might notice some tension in the body. shoulders, face, belly. See if you can invite these places to soften and arrive. Expanding awareness of sounds, the different sounds in the room, outside the room, taste and smell. And seeing, even with your eyes closed, shapes, colors. There's a lot of causes and conditions that flavor this mind. And this creates a mood sometimes. If you remember, I don't know, I might be dating myself a little bit here, but these mood rings show the color of your mood. What's the color of your mood right now? It doesn't have to be meaning, just whatever color comes to mind. Letting that go and shifting the awareness back to the breath, and just end this little arriving meditation with a few deep breaths together, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And on the count of 3, I invite you. So 1, 2, 3, in, and let it go. Again, slowly in, let it go. This time really in big, expand the whole body and hold it at the top and make some noise in the out breaths. Ooh. Nice. Just letting the breath breathe all on its own once again. Check in with the feet, the seat, the sounds. You've arrived. I was just reflecting, and a friend of the group was we kind of connected real fast out there. It's like, man, so many things within a week that happened. And I was just reflecting. I'm like, and it's such a blip. It's like I feel like I was just in this seat. And then just reflecting on this week, I'm like, holy shit. Last Friday I thought I was on my deathbed. I thought I had a vice on my head. I didn't really think I was on my deathbed, but I'm a baby when I don't feel good. But that allergy thing turned into this sinus thing, and then I just was out, and this whole week, just everything draining. Finally can breathe. Still got a little cough. But anyway, the causes and conditions, right? What's our relationship to it, to them? I always like to hear your voices first. So before I get into my spiel, the check-in question, that mood that you're coming in with today, if you remember the mood rings, the colors, the mood, but just if you could have a descriptive word for your mood right now, what would it be? Anybody? Go for it. Yeah. Turquoise. Anybody else? Just say it out loud. I don't need to pick anybody. Just popcorn it. Blue, turquoise and blue. Purple. Gold? Nice. Opalescence? Wow, fancy. I like it. You're one of my fancy friends over there. Opalescence. Black. Yeah. Hell yeah. One more time. Magenta. Green. It's just a playful way to describe our mood, because when we're describing it, we're not in it just for a moment, right? It's just a color. Doesn't dismiss it, but it's a way of working with the mind. And I feel like, that's what this practice is retraining the mind. This mind that isn't who we are, isn't our thoughts, isn't our emotions. But it can feel really fucking personal, yeah? It can feel really personal. But we got to tend to it. Can't just let this mind go. Because we know where it goes, right? And Sayadaw Tejaniya writes, and I was speaking with another friend about this quote, and there's some Buddhist words in here. I'm like, it's like, I don't know if I resonate with that totally. And he's like, then don't read a Buddhist monk's quote. But I'm going to. He writes, one thing you need to remember and understand, or they say, is that you cannot leave the mind alone. One thing you need to remember and understand is that you cannot leave the mind alone. It needs to be watched constantly. It's kind of hectic. If you do not look after your garden, it will overgrow with weeds. If you do not watch your mind, defilements will grow and multiply. Now, defilements, this is that word, right? It's a big, heady word. And defilements are greed, hatred, delusion, ... There's a whole list. Well, so how do we watch the mind instead of getting stuck in the suck of the mind? It's the hard part, right? And I think, and I know, I know, my experience is it begins with awareness. Begins with awareness. So, we call this practice mindfulness, but it's just really just awareness. I feel like it's awareness that is really the key here. And where are we pointing our focus? Where are we bringing our focus to? So that's why I really love the Buddhist tradition and these foundational tools of the first foundation of breath and body. It gives us these tools to bring focus to, like what we just did, bringing our awareness to the senses. What else is here? Of course, there's thoughts, there's emotions for sure, but there's also taste, smell, seeing, touch, all the other ones. And there's the breath. This is what's happening. And there's a great book, and I think it was up there. Somebody might have, hopefully they're still reading it, but it's called Buddha's Brain. And I like the way they break it down where the mind, you know, you know, I think this to be true. And I like to, because does anybody have a definition for the mind that really makes sense in here? I don't know. And there might be, people could probably tell you what the mind is. But how they describe the mind and what I really resonated with is, so our awareness guides the mind. So that's why I like going to my feet a lot. I check out the feet, especially if I'm tripping. If I'm in a thought, if the mind is just kind of stuck up here, I'll check in to the furthest place in my direct experience from where the thoughts are. And that's my feet. And I'll ask the question, are my feet tripping? No, feet aren't tripping. And when I bring that awareness to the feet, and I know some people, who've had surgery on the feet, so it might be different. But usually they're okay, or the big toe or whatever. That sends information. The mind will grab that. The mind goes, okay, it's okay down there. And then the mind sends information to the brain, creates new pathways, a sense of okayness. So if the mind is on the fritz in a thought, in an emotion, we're just stuck. It's just sending information to the brain, those same stories of the past that were unsafe or big, or we're reliving it. We're stuck in the cycle. So the basic awareness of bringing our awareness to the feet, the seat, the sounds, the breath, it expands and it sends information. And I think this is why the breath is focused on a lot, is because it's pretty neutral for the most part. Not always, not everybody's experience. But when we bring our awareness to sound, to taste, to seeing, to smell, there's a lot of opinions, right? So there's another practice of letting go of those preferences and opinions. And that gets more into the second foundation of mindfulness. But if we can just be with the basic, just sound, and notice the coming and going of sound. The coming and going of everything. Just the direct knowing that really calms the nervous system, because the awareness is guiding the mind to send information that right now it's okay, and we're not living in that circumstance that happened or may not happen. Because that's usually where the thoughts are, right? Past, future, past, future. So in a skillful way, we can use the tools. You can use these tools that y'all been practicing, just the basic awareness, to explore the mind itself, to explore the feelings, to explore the emotions that are arising. The emotions, the big emotions that are created from the stories of our day, of our week, of our life. The stories that we come in here with, all the causes and conditions. And that's why I like that question of what's the color of your mood? Because it's the causes and conditions that create this mood, right? And this is where a transformative piece for me is getting to know my emotions in a different way, getting to know the thoughts and feelings in a different way, not getting rid of. It was a huge wake up call for me about this practice. Like, shit, I thought I get rid of all this shit that I don't want to be with. But we can use these tools, the awareness first, to find what else is here to calm the nervous system, expand our awareness, get the mind unstuck a little bit. And kindness and generosity is what arises, compassion. It's a huge act of kindness to do that for yourself. It's a huge, generous act. Me and Matt were talking about the topic. Matt does all our social media, and on Monday we'll go, what's our topic this week? And I'm like, fuck, I don't even, what? I barely know an hour before sometimes. I'm like, generosity. Because you're so generous, it's just like popped in my mind, generosity. But this practice is a very generous practice towards yourself, giving yourself this time and space just to be. And it's a radical act of kindness. So you're practicing that by just coming, just being here. So coming back to this mind itself, like, I'm visual. I'm like, I need to picture this stuff to really like embody it. And for me, maybe this will work for you, but I picture the mind of more of like a scanner, or even like a lighthouse, the light, just kind of should be in flow. It should just be noticing, sending information. Okay, there's a ship out there, whatever. Cliffs are close. But we come into these groups, or the things we do to want to feel better. The mind just kind of, the scanner or the lighthouse just kind of on the fritz, glitching. It's glitching here, feelings. It's glitching here, thoughts. Painfully aware. So when we shift our awareness to our senses and what's here in this moment, greases the gears a little bit. Even if just for a moment you check in with the seat, the sounds, okay? And then I'll go, yeah, but remember? But yeah, we got to do. It's like, okay, yes, totally, but not right now. We got to constantly remind ourselves that right now it's like this. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. No one we need to be or become right now. And it's hard. It's a training. When we can do this, when we begin to do this, when the mind calms, because it will on its own, then we can turn towards. This contemplative part of the practice. You can turn towards, or just not even turn towards, just notice if that repetitive thoughts here, because you'll notice and you probably have noticed that most of the thoughts are just they're just random. But then there's those ones that have a hook. It's like, oh, how, and then we're ruminating on it, chewing on it. But when I say turn towards, we just notice where it's stuck, where is it hooked? No, is it an unpleasant memory? Is it something that is big to come that you don't, just uncertainty? Just know. Even if it's a hopeful thing that may or may not happen, just notice what that feels like, or a joyful memory, bring it back to your experience. And what I found really helpful is to let go of the story of why I feel this way and get into, what am I feeling? Where do I feel it? This whole learning how to feel better by learning how to feel better. It's like, for me, and it's hard because I still get caught up in thoughts. I still get caught up in the why. But I know when I practice, oh, here's that pit. Okay. And I can either sometimes just be with it or just see the edges of it. There it is. Okay. I don't have the capacity to be totally with it right now. So I'll bring my awareness to the feet, something I see, maybe a movement. You don't have to bear down on it and get rid of it, because that's not what it's asking for. But just for a moment, can you touch into the felt sense of that thought, that emotion? The felt sense is, we know it, right? There's a tightening, there's a swirling, there's some kind of energy going on, the chest, the belly, the throat. This whole emotional stem that runs from our brain. It's down into our throat, chest, or belly. And if you have the capacity to explore, just be with the texture. What is it? What is the texture? Is it tight? Is it tingly? Is there a weight to it? Sometimes just naming it will tame it. Sometimes just name it. But the key is to be curious, just curious and kind, not trying to get rid of. And if it's just too much, you don't need to get stuck in it. I like to think of it like a yoga pose. Anybody do yoga? Yeah. Cool. So my experience with yoga is I just thought it was a stretch, and I kept fucking up my back every time, until I had a very kind yoga teacher goes, yo, you're very limber, but I don't know, what are you doing? I'm like, I can do this. Like, no, go right to where the tension is. Yeah. Is that right? And just hold it for a moment. and then come out. And then next time, maybe a little bit deeper if you can. Yeah. Is that right? That was super. Yeah. That was super helpful for me. It didn't hurt my back anymore. So think of that when you're not doing, but just exploring these emotions. Touch the edges. See if you can be with it for a moment. Cool. If not, turn your awareness to something else. Even gratitude's a great place to go to. Something that brings you joy if you want. If nothing in your direct experience is feeling settled, you know. So we learn that this mind can be an ally as well. It's a great thing to have. It's where imagination comes from. It's where everything comes. It's where experiencing joy comes from, the mind. Right? The mind knows that, when I hug my kid Echo, the mind goes, oh, this is awesome. Then I want to hold on. And they're 13. They're like, what, Dad? What? Yeah. So this can be done in your formal practice. I like a formal practice because we can create a container for ourselves, give ourselves some time. It's hard to do in the the practical world sometimes. It's just like so overwhelming. But it can be practiced, not in the practical world or in the relative world out there. It can be done. It's just by throughout your day, just checking in. Notice if you're kind of swirling. Can you feel into your feet? Feel the temperature in your skin. Take a breath. Check in with yourself. Ooh, something going on right here. It's a big heaviness. Or it's super light and floaty and airy today. What was your color of your mood? Yeah, it's opalescence right now. Beautiful. Let yourself experience that. And remember, I refer to this as a practice. It's a practice, a training, a retraining of the mind. Not to get good at, right? But to get more curious with. Friend Nick, yoga teacher, posted something that said, practice makes progress. I like that. And that's what I found with this. It's just a practice. We're going to find ourselves stuck a lot. But the more we know that we're stuck, that's the moment of awakening. Oh, I'm stuck. That's the moment to shift the awareness. We can shift our awareness. So pausing the story of why just for a moment. We know why, right? We know the why. And it's good to know the why, but we don't need to get into the context of it. What am I feeling? Where do I feel it? We can see that these emotions, these feelings aren't who we are, but we identify with them. And some of these feelings and these emotions and these kind of archetypes that kind of show up a lot of times, these parts of ourselves that we think are unskillful or we just don't want to have anymore, maybe served a purpose at one time. Maybe they served a purpose at one time. The worry of what you think about me served a purpose at one time. So I don't need to hate it. I can deep bow. Thank you. Because it's still going to be here. It's an imprint. And just think about how many different mind worlds do we experience from 1 hour to the next, really? So why would we take it so personal? We're happy, we're sad, we're bored, fearful, calm. But as we contemplate these sensations as they rise and pass, we begin to free ourselves from identifying as them. We're not free of them or freer from them in the reactions that stem from them. Yeah. the behaviors that stem from them. When we're bored, I don't want to be bored. You know? When I'm in fear, I don't want to feel fear. But I feel like the more we get to know them, we could get to know that that's not who I am. I am not that. And to really know who we are underneath all of it, we got to know who we're not first. I am not fear. I'm not anger. I am not bored. I experience those things. It's huge. It's a huge difference. Doesn't mean that we don't get to experience these feelings, these emotions. But we personalize them so much. I am, I am, I am. We can start to notice. It's a contemplating piece of this practice. Is this mindfulness of the mind? It's third foundation. Be curious. The mind is like this right now. The mind is stirred up. The mind is stuck. This emotion is here. And I truly believe that y'all deserve this attention. You deserve your own attention. Because I know, I know, I don't know everybody in here. I know a lot of people in here, but I've seen your kindness. It's probably very easy to be kind to others, yeah? That maybe even are going through something similar that you might be feeling. But when it comes to ourselves, it's really hard. We're not deserving, I guess, for our attention, our kindness, our love. But you totally are worthy. Totally. Just love this quote, and I'm just going to say it every time. My boy, Jeff Foster. Your pain, your sorrow, your doubts, your deepest longings, your fearful thoughts are not mistakes, and they aren't asking to be healed. That's the huge thing. They're not asking to be healed. They're asking to be held here, now, lightly, in the loving arms of present awareness. In the loving arms of present awareness. Maybe. Ideally. Yeah. But y'all are doing great. I hope you believe that. Doing better, definitely doing better than what your mind's telling you're doing. How many killer Netflix series are on right now that you could be watching? But you are here at the Vets Hall upstairs listening to tango music and some dude with a beanie and a weird sweatshirt on. Talk about the mind. Didn't know what the hell he's talking about. My experience, y'all. My experience. And practice is your experience. So whatever comes up for you tonight, it's something just to work with, to be with, to notice. And maybe you can tap into it a little bit and rest in it, that yoga pose, and then just bring the awareness away. But be curious. Watch it move. See if you notice the swirling, the tightening. Maybe it moves if we give it room. It might not go away. Maybe it doesn't need to go away. Maybe it just wants to move. It wants some space. Yeah. Cool. That's my inspirational talk for our practice. And we'll practice this tonight a little bit. And again, everything I offer is it's not a demand, So you don't even have to, I would hope you don't demand it on yourself that you need to totally follow along. Well, we'll practice a little bit of this mindfulness mind. I'll offer this practice. And if that works for you, cool. If not, you know, that first foundation, feet, seat, sounds, breath. Open your eyes, look around, walk around if you need to. Take care of yourself. Cool? Right. So we're going to take just a little, like a couple minute stretch break. I would invite you to introduce yourself maybe to someone you don't know in the room, and then use the restroom if you need to, and get some tea if you want. Get comfortable, get some more cushions. If you want to lay down, you can do that. And I'll ring the bell in about a minute here.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what's up with this squirrely little mind. This little rascal, the mind. The hell? Just to normalize maybe your experience. The practice is called mindfulness, not mindlessness. There might be a reason for that. The mind is usually full. If you're anything like me, it's full of shit most of the time. Thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensations. Okay. So again, just shifting your awareness from outer to inner awareness gently. The invitation is to shift your awareness to what feels okay right now or good enough. If, leaving your eyes open feels the most supportive right now, leave your eyes open. Find something to rest your eyes, rest your gaze. We're letting go right now, letting go of trying. Right? Don't need to try. We just need to see, taste, smell. Just notice. You could be gentle if there's some trying, of course. Get this right. This shit to work. But also, I don't know about you, but I've never mellowed out by being told I need to mellow out. So remember that with the mind. Treat it like a small child right now that has a lot of energy, maybe. It's a little scared, worried. Just shifting your awareness to a place in your direct experience that just feels good enough to rest. Could be the breath, could be the sounds, could be the way the body's sitting or laying down. And this is your place to come home to, just return to, if only for a moment. And you notice the mind getting caught in a story. Right now, you can just let that go and maybe just return to your anchor. Feet, the seat, the sounds, something you see. You have choice in the matter. And if and when you get caught up in that story, you find yourself drifting off, it's not a mistake. It doesn't mean that you're doing this practice wrong. It's actually an opportunity. It's the practice itself to be aware that, oh, this thought, plan, memory, and then gently return. See the sounds, the breath, and rest. Nowhere to go, nothing you need to do, no one you need to be or become. Not in this moment. Right now, it's like this. Sounds are like this. The breath is like this. Sensations in the body feel like this. Thoughts, emotions are like this. It all comes and goes if we allow it. Every distraction is only a distraction if we put a story to why it's a distraction. Sound comes and goes. Breath comes in, goes out. Feelings rise and pass. Emotions, thoughts come and go. We get to rest. You can notice these flavors of the mind, our experience. Some sensations are pleasant, some are unpleasant, some are neutral. Parts of our experience, like, dislike, somewhere in between. We notice when the pushing away or trying to grasp into one experience or another. You release the grip. But pushing, trying, just be. Remember a place to come home to. Feet, the seat, the sounds, the breath. Allowing the mind to rest. Just for a moment, if only for a moment, before the next thought takes you somewhere else. The next opportunity to wake up and return. Notice that these thoughts, they have that same flavor of wanting, not wanting, just random. Same with the feelings. Name it. Take note. And let it go. Let it be. There's a reoccurring thought or feeling that keeps arising that is attached to a story. You can even practice this mindfulness of the mind, this curiosity of letting go of the story for a moment, pausing, just asking yourself what you're feeling right now. Maybe where you're feeling this. Is this a sensation somewhere? Is there a tightening, a swirling? Is it okay to be with it right now? And if it's not, that's okay. Shift your awareness back to what feels okay. There's nothing to figure out or do, just noticing, being curious. Be kind. Does the sensation need some attention? What is it asking? Does it just need a hand to rest wherever you feel that sensation? Maybe putting a hand there, the heart, the chest, the belly. Be curious. Does it move? Sensations change? Do you keep getting caught up in the story? And that's okay. Letting go, coming back. You have choice. Rest with this as much as you can, that yoga pose. And just come out of it whenever you need. Maybe next time you can go a little deeper. But meet yourself right where you're at. When I use the word embrace, I mean a warm embrace, not a headlock. bearing down. It's too much. Look to see what else is here. The feet, the seat, the sounds, the breath. Remembering that this feeling, this sensation isn't asking to be healed or fixed, just asking to be seen and held gently. Meet yourself right at the level of experience that you're at right now. And if you don't notice anything, that's okay too. If it's all just story, of course, it's a new practice maybe. Just being curious. See your truth beyond all this story. I guarantee you that this truth is already cultivating this kindness of your heart, just by walking through the door today, tonight, showing up for yourself in a new way. Even if you don't feel this kindness, this compassion, it's here. Just need to pay attention a little bit. Thought is a thought, nothing more than that. A feeling is a sensation that's rising, passing. It's an experience. If there's joy arising, there's a sense of well-being arising. Even let go of that story of why you may be experiencing this and just feel into the experience. What does that feel like? That has a sensation. You can learn to appreciate the joy, the happiness as it arises without clinging. It's an experience. All these experiences are fleeting. The joys, the sorrows. And it's not to dismiss the way you feel. but it's to greet the way you feel with kindness, compassion, wisdom, the attention that you deserve. So hold yourself right now, gently, lightly. Let go of any doing. Just allow yourself to rest. Softening deeper to the goodness that is you, beyond the stories, beyond the sensations. There's a truth waiting. There's a goodness that is here. As the breath breathes, the body rests all on its own. Your awareness is the guide. The mind will follow. In these last few moments of our practice, our formal practice together, invite you to the final letting go, trying, getting it right, and just allow if the body needs to move. The eyes want to open. If you just want to rest in these last few moments before the bell rings, this bell doesn't need to be an indication of the end of something, but maybe just the beginning of something. beginning of a shift, an experience, beginning of a relationship, your deepest truth. All right. So we'll end with the offering of merit, which in the Buddhist tradition is that we practice not only for our well-being, but for the well-being of all beings. I always well-being, being. There's a lot of beings in there. So just taking a moment, I like to take a moment to just reflect on our practice tonight. Reflect on coming into the door. Reflect on what you're coming in with. The connection, the talk, your practice. Reflect on any goodness that you may be leaving with. Let this goodness sink into the marrow of your being. It's well-deserved. You're doing the work. But then also let it ripple out. Let this goodness be for the benefit of all beings. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at ease. May all beings be free from suffering. Thanks, y'all. See you in another dream.
Thanks for listening to the Hella Meditated podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Stay up, stay true, be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.